Okay, so in this morning session, we will talk about what is email marketing. It may seem a simple question, but I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Then we'll talk about how to build your email marketing list, which again is a really important part of email marketing. We'll give some tips and do's and don'ts on what to do and what not to do when you employ this strategy. We'll talk a little bit about the legal rules around sending emails to people. I think that's a question we're getting a lot, and it's a very important question. So we want to spend some time on that. And then at the later part, we'll discuss some actual email marketing tools that you can consider using for your business. And Robert will take that part and actually give you a little bit of an inside scoop of what that looks with one of the tools that we are using. And so to give you a little bit an idea what that would look like. So again, we're hoping to complete this in 1 hour max, and leave lots of space or time for your questions. So the first question is, like this, it's 2020. Let's face it. Like sending emails looks pretty old school, and in a way it is. But what we find with a lot of our clients, and even with ourselves, that email marketing is still a very effective way of connecting with your clients and your prospects. And one of the reasons I think that is because you have, in order to send an email, of course, you need to have a contact, or you have like a email at the very least of a prospective client. And there's almost no other digital marketing tool that actually allows you to communicate with these people on your list directly to an email. And it's safe to say that most people, their email inbox is a pretty important place for them, where they spend a lot of their time. Still, in 2020, with all the other communication tools that we have available, email seems to be like a solid choice for most business communications still. So what we can do with email marketing as a small business, what you can do is use it to your advantage. So getting your name in that email box is a very good way of connecting with your client. So it's also a direct response. You can send offers in email, and people can actually respond directly in that email, which again is you can't do with all the other channels. It's also relatively cost effective. I mean, of course, it does take some time to set it up initially, but once you get going and you have a system in place, it's actually not bad. Like, it's actually very manageable, and especially with the payoff that it potentially has for your business, which again that's another reason why a lot of businesses should look at email marketing, or some of you are probably already using some of this. So. Setting up email marketing for your business can be like a less of a commitment than some of the other marketing channels. And when I say marketing channels, I mainly focus on digital marketing, like anything online. Like for some of our clients, we have campaigns set up for the next 3 months, and of course, it takes time to set up the campaign. It takes time to write the content. Of course, you have to have some content, and we'll talk about some ideas for content as well. But once you have it all set up, then you can basically auto deliver in a lot of those tools. We'll just send those emails out whenever you want, and you don't really have to worry too much about those campaigns on a daily basis, which I believe is kind of an advantage as well. Now, the other thing about email marketing is you own the list. Like, you have a list of clients, or you have a list of prospective clients that have signed up for your list, and you actually own that list. Like Facebook doesn't own that list, Google doesn't own that list. If anything else fails, you actually have full access to that, and that's definitely an advantage, again, compared to some of the other mediums out there, including social media. Your followers and the people that interact with you on social media, you don't actually own any of that content. So again, that's an advantage of taking that in your own hand and actually controlling that fully. So what are some of the things that you can do with an email marketing campaign? Of course, you can promote special offers. People love to have specials. Depending on your industry, of course, like, this doesn't always have to be a discount necessarily. just something that people are excited about and actually need to know about. And again, you can just reach all those clients or those prospects in just one swoop with an email marketing campaign. It's also excellent for staying in touch with your existing clients. So if you have clients you maybe only see once a year, or it may be only once every couple of years, depending on the product that you or service that you provide. It's amazing how quickly people forget about you, and that's nothing to do because you're not a nice person or a great business. It just has to do with people have very limited memory when it comes to remembering who has provided the service in the past. And receiving an email from a provider that you actually have used in the past and that with an offer or a service that you actually need can be a very powerful offer, and the people respond to these offers. You can also use it to build relationships with prospective clients. So people that have maybe contacted you or talked to you in the past, but have never bought from you. Email is an excellent tool to build those relationships and nurture the relationships with those people, to eventually bring them to the point that they trust you enough and know you enough that they potentially will buy from you. Another thing is, of course, if you can drive traffic to your website and your blog, whatever else you have going on. And again, it's a very targeted way of communicating. So email marketing is not dead in 2020. It's alive and well. So talking a little bit about the list. So most businesses will have an existing client list, for example. Some people have it in a spreadsheet. A lot of people will have it in Outlook or have it in some other shape or form. Once we start talking about the tools that are available to actually manage this list, there's a lot better way of doing this. And Robert will talk to you about that a little bit. But your existing clients that you've interacted with is a potential gold mine for your business, because these people already know you, they trust you, they've dealt with you. And unless something went wrong in the transaction or they're not happy with the service that they provide, that you provided. But overall, when people, when they hear from you again, it is an excellent way for them to reintroduce them to your what you have to offer, right? So existing clients are the place where you generally would start. Now, if you have a new business, of course, then you have to build this list. You can't just you got to start from somewhere. But if you do have an existing business already, and I think most people on the call probably have that, you probably have somewhere in your organization that list. So not sure who manages it. But that's actually a very valuable list that you can use to your advantage. So what are some of the other ways to grow your list? Well, you can have signups on your website. Now, generally, what doesn't work so well, like sign up on a newsletter. That's a lot of us have tried it in the past. People are very hesitant giving up their emails for anything, so they really need to see the value. So email signups or newsletter signups can work, but that needs you need to explain exactly what you're going to get for that newsletter on a monthly or weekly basis. So other things that work very well is for example a white paper or ebook, like something of value that your clients would be interested in. And again, it totally depends on your business, of course, but most businesses can be creative and come up with something that's actually will give their potential clients information that they actually can use. And a lot of people are looking for that information. So by giving them a piece of free information like an ebook or a PDF, you can actually now collect their emails. And that's again because they've said yes, like I'm interested in finding out more, but I'm not necessarily ready to just buy from you yet. So that's one really good strategy. Of course, what we're doing with these webinars at Edge is a lead generation kind of a tool for us, because people are interested in learning more about online marketing and websites. We get to connect with them and give them more information and hopefully build a relationship that eventually, of course, we're hoping will result in them working with us. Video content is extremely popular. So you could consider, developing some video content that people can download by just in return for their email. And yeah, we talked about newsletters already. So that's, the newsletters can still work, but you just need to make it very clear what exactly these newsletters are about. Like I'm receiving a few newsletters from some companies, but they specifically told me what they're going to give me. I just see the value of that. So I signed up for them. So the bottom line is, like, if you provide any information to gather more contacts, it's very important that you provide value. Like nobody's waiting, of course, for spam emails or emails that are extremely sales oriented and buy. It's more about adding value to somebody else's day. So this is another reason why email marketing is can be very effective for you. If you look at this pie chart, I like to show this because I think it has a lot of truth to it. When like a lot of our small businesses are always focusing on the 3% or so of potential clients that are actually ready to buy right now. Whereas we should be, like, the people that are ready to buy, of course, we need to talk to them and get to know them and hopefully, have them work with us or buy from us. But there's also a large portion of the market that, or your audience, that's actually very interested in what you have to offer, but they may not be ready to deal with you right now. So, for example, if you're an accountant, like the accounting year is only comes by once a year, right? So your year end. So maybe if your year end is the end of December and you're in the middle of July, you may not be responding to an email or to an offer that you have right away. So email is a really good way to stay in touch with those clients with an email update or like a focused campaign that kind of creates value and builds that relationship of trust with your prospective clients. So without capturing their email or their contact information, of course, 6 months from now, you don't know who they are. They don't know who you are necessarily. So so the process kind of starts all over again, which again, you want to kind of be ahead of the curve and just be able to communicate with them and then slowly lead them into a working relationship with you. So again, when you do send out an email campaign, just focus on the people that are actually are going to buy from you, and all the rest. There's some people in the world they will not buy from you even if it would be free, right? And I think everybody can kind of relate to that. So let's not focus about those people, but just let's just stay in touch with the prospective clients that are actually interested in working with us. So a couple tips here for email marketing. So of course, it's very important that you have a strategy before you do this. Like just with anything else in your marketing approach, online or offline, always have a plan how that fits in with what you're trying to achieve. So what is the most desired result that you want to get out of this when you send that email out? What is the response that you're expecting? Is it to download something? Is it to call for a meeting? If you're very clear about what you're trying to achieve with this, you're much better positioned to have success, because your writing will be focused on that, and everything else will make more sense to the client. Of course, you always want to deliver valuable content. Again, I said earlier, like, there's no point of just selling or sending spam emails or aggressive sales letters. It's proven to be very ineffective. People don't want to be sold to. So if you can come up with ideas and content that actually adds value to your clients or is interesting to your clients, you have a much better chance that people will actually stay on your email list and stay on connecting with you throughout the year. Generally speaking, it's best to have one offer or one topic per email. So don't try to maybe introduce 10 different topics in the same email. I know an email newsletter you could make it work, but you have to be very careful, because again, people may not read the whole thing and they just want to basically find out in a few seconds what's in it for me. So that's important. Again, we're going to talk about the proper email tools. Like, do not use Outlook to send emails to 1,000 people, or even 100 people, because you're gonna get yourself in trouble. There's some legal ramifications, but there's also your emails will not be delivered, and as a matter of fact, your email address could actually be flagged for spam by Google and other email delivery companies, and that could be a real problem, and we have seen it happen. So you don't want to use just your regular email tool. That's fine for one-to-one, or even sending it out to 10 people. But these campaigns need special tools, and there's a lot of really great programs available for that. So. And then, yeah, make sure you adhere to the spam legislation, and I'll have another slide on that topic. So, yeah, don't spam. That's pretty obvious, right? Also, do not buy mailing lists. I mean, I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this or offered a mailing list of your industry, for example. And of course, thousands of addresses for a few pennies per address, but I would highly, I would be very, very cautious, because first of all, the legal side of things could get you in trouble. But oftentimes those lists are very useless, because those people have never signed up or never interacted with your company before. So I would not recommend doing that at all. And again, don't make your content too sales oriented, always pushing your product, always talking about yourself. Much better to talk about the problem that you're solving for your client, and then give them valuable information, free information on how to solve some of those problems. So when it comes to the actually anti-spam legislation, again, it is important. These things, like in Canada, it was introduced in 2014, and it actually has had some big consequences for a lot of small businesses. The real reason why the government went ahead and put the legislation in place, though, was because they had some large spam companies actually operating out of Canada, and they really wanted to cut back on that. So these are the professional spammers, so to speak, that sent you all these nasty or annoying emails. You know, the government of Canada really wanted to clamp down on that, so they did fairly successfully. Actually, there's only a few left, I believe, but with that, it affected everybody. So in Canada, actually, there's two parts of the law, and then again, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take this as legal advice. But there's express consent, and that means you actually have specifically signed up for a newsletter. You oftentimes see the little checkbox, and would you like to receive offers from us in the future? So that's fine, and then it gets documented. You know that you have to consent to communicate with this client. But under the Canadian law, there's also a thing called implied consent, and that has to do with if you have a business relationship with another business or an individual, you actually have the right to communicate with this individual by law, just because that's kind of how business works, right? Like, you ask a question to a business, well, the business needs to respond to you with an answer or a solution. So that's called implied consent, and that's still the case here, and that's actually makes it for Canadians, Canadian companies that operate just strictly in Canada, actually makes it a little bit easier to use these email marketing tools. So we definitely have an advantage over, for example, the European Union. They went much farther with their legislation that they introduced. So there is no implied consent over there. So if you have a business that operates internationally, you have to be aware of that. And in the States is the same. Like, so of course in the United States, legislation is generally done by state. So depending on where your clients are, there may be different rules and regulations around that. So now the good news is, first of all, most of the people on the call are Canadian companies operating in Canada. So we have actually some more opportunities. But the thing is too, the tools that we're going to talk about in a little bit here have all these legislations built in. So they're the one-click unsubscribe button, for example, it is built into the software. So again, automatically, if you use those tools for a lot of these issues, you automatically comply with that if you use them properly. Bottom line is, use common sense, don't buy lists, and respect the list you have. And again, don't ever take it for granted that people that you have that information, because you want to use it to help them in their business. So now we get to the actual email marketing tools. So again, like I said earlier, there's hundreds, probably thousands of different tools that you can choose from. Of course, like just like any other industry. A few of them that we have worked with or are working with for some of our clients are Mailchimp. It's probably, I would say, for small businesses, probably one of the market leaders. They've done a really good job of developing something that's extremely simple to use and very effective. Constant Contact, a lot of our clients are using that, and then Campaign Monitor. So this is just scratching the surface. There's way more than that, but to keep it simple, we just focus on some of the tools that you may want to check out if you're considering doing email marketing campaigns for your business. Now, there's two different categories almost, I should say, of email marketing tools. So Mailchimp kind of falls into in the first category. It's a relatively simple solution, very focused on delivering emails to list people on lists. Where the second category is more integrated with a customer relation management system. And again, it's most small businesses are not quite there yet, although some of our clients are using those systems. But it basically means it's way more integrated with everything else they do for their client management. So it's really cool. But if you're new to this, I would definitely recommend starting out with something a little bit simpler. So with that, I'm just gonna see if there's any questions here in the box here. Make sure you type them into the chat box. Before I give it over to Robert here to talk about Mailchimp and actually the tool that we're talking about here. Does anybody have any questions? And if you want, you can definitely switch on your microphone and ask the question to us, and we'll try to answer it now, or you can just put it in the chat box. Okay, so I have one question here that I'll answer here right away. Some tools that are free, yes. Mailchimp, for example, they have a free account. So if you're just starting out, they have a free service. It has some limitations, of course, because it's a free service, but you can easily start. Robert, I think it almost does everything that the Pro version does, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It basically does everything the Pro version does. The only difference between the Pro and free version is that with the free version, you have the logo of Mailchimp in the footer of all your emails. So there is you can't quite white label it with all your own branding material. There's a Mailchimp logo in every email that you sent out.
Yeah, and that's so. And Constant Contact, I think, like most of these software companies, will have a free account to get to know the program and to learn. And maybe that's all you need. Maybe you don't need to send emails to thousands of people, right? So, good question. Anybody else? Okay, well, think about a question that you may have and type it into the chat box. But I'll ask Robert here to tell us a little bit more about Mailchimp. And again, keep in mind this is only one example. This is definitely not the only way to go. But if you look at a lot of these tools, they're all kind of following a very similar logic. So Mailchimp is probably a good program to look at. So I'll just bring up your first slide, Robert, and then you can.
Perfect.
Take it from there.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. So yeah, the first thing we're going to look at here is Mailchimp. Reason for that is we found for myself, it's one of the easiest tools to use. It's very user friendly. You actually can download an app for it as well and manage it on the go through your mobile devices, which is very handy. So you don't always have to be sitting behind a desk to monitor your email campaigns that you're going to be sending out, or just want to get some data back on them. You can really easily manage it everywhere on the go, which is super handy. But I have a list of 5 key topics we're going to be touching base on here, just based on most common questions that get asked, and that can really help you yourself set up Mailchimp on your own and just get started. Some of the top areas that you'll need to work on or can work on when creating your first email campaign and just get going. So that is how it works and what it is, what are templates and how they can benefit you. Email list, and Peter did touch base on that a little bit, so I'll dive a little bit deeper into that. Scheduled delivery and automation. So those are the key areas we're going to be talking about today. And the first one is how it works. Perfect. So what is Mailchimp and how it works? Well, ultimately, Mailchimp allows you to build email campaigns that you can completely customize, personalize, and send in a large volume of emails to all your email lists or recipients with ultimately one click. So like Peter was saying earlier, you don't want to use Outlook or anything like that. This way you can monitor, manage all of your, let's say you have 200 email clients or even 50. You can build one email, add them to that list, and we'll dive into that a little bit deeper and send it out, and it will get delivered. Mailchimp will make sure of that. You don't have to worry about any of that. And if there are any bounce backs or people that don't open them or people that do open them, you get all that data back in a very user-friendly way that you can easily navigate through and understand. Like there's a quick screenshot there on the right-hand side. And it just already shows you there's an audience of 59 plus. So it just shows you a really simple numbers that you can follow along with, keeping it really easy because I know as business owners, you're busy enough with other things. So, but Mailchimp made sure that to make this work for you. Yeah, so we can go to the next slide here, Peter. Perfect. So the next one is probably one of the more exciting ones, which is templates. So what it means is you can really just build your own look and style your emails to be consistent with all your current branding that you've already done. A lot of you already own businesses. So this way you can really keep it consistent again and really help build brand recognition and just customization with the emails. So if you send out 100 emails, they will all have the same header, can have the same style throughout and then the same footer as well. Making it very professional, but in a very easy and manageable way to do. As you can see on the right-hand side, there's a little screenshot of what it would look like if you are building out your email campaigns. And there you can see you can literally click, drag, and drop. So there's no coding or anything like that required. That you can build your own emails with and make it look very professional and interactive as well. You want people to, of course, interact with them through those different emails that you're going to be sending out. So templates are a great way for you to build those customized emails that look the same, and you can use the same template over and over again, so you don't have to build new ones every time you send an email. Okay, and the next one I'm going to be talking about is email lists. Peter did touch base on it a little bit on how you can collect them. So that's through your websites or through blogs or different forms of how you can collect those emails. So basically what an email list is a large group or an audience, so to say, of emails or people who have subscribed or you have imported. So that's, let's say imported means you've received their business cards or you've interacted with them in the past and you have a relationship with them. You can manually import those emails as well. So you don't always need to only subscribe them. That's what Peter touched base on as well earlier in that slide about legislation there. So that's a terrific way. But the wonderful thing about email lists is, as you can see in that screenshot, it gives you a really good overview of who's in that list and who opens it and who clicks it and who leaves. So you get a really good overview of how people are interacting and reading your emails and if they're liking your content. The other wonderful thing with email lists is that you can make specific offers, so to speak, or specific messages that are targeted to different email lists. So you can make lists for, let's say you have an industrial audience, a commercial, agriculture, and residential. You can divide those all out into different categories, different email lists here, and send, let's say you only want to send an email to residential customers. You can just easily check the box there in your list and hit send. And then only the emails that have a direct message that really respond to one specific, your residential audience will get that email. and you can kind of customize and choose how you want to build that out yourself as well. So there's a lot of flexibility on how those lists look and how they function and interact with the emails that you're sending out, and you have complete control over that. And yeah, it's a great way, again, to keep tab of who's joining your email list, who's interacting with them, and who's really going to be your next customer you want to maybe target with some new email addresses, again, as you can build those lists out into different ones. So the next one is schedule delivery. So a wonderful thing about Mailchimp and many of the other email campaigns that are out there is you can work ahead, which is really handy, as I know, again, a lot of you are busy and you don't always have time for this. So you can dedicate, let's say, one afternoon, create, let's say, 8 emails, set them up, and you can schedule auto delivery for them. So for example, you can schedule 1 email a week, and if you have 8 emails created, you're good to go for 2 months that you have set it up, and you don't really have to look back and make sure that you're sending them out. You will get automated reports from Mailchimp, again, saying your email was sent out. Here is some of the interaction rates and what some of the statistics data looks like with those emails that you can just monitor yourself on the go. So it's a great way to work ahead and at the same time do some of that marketing material as well without having to dedicate a whole bunch of time to it all the time every month. So it's a great tool just to take that next step and just let Mailchimp do the work for you ultimately. The next one is automation. That one gets, if you're really into Mailchimp and you're really seeing the benefits and you want to dive a little bit deeper, I highly recommend you guys look into automation. What that means is automation really just gives you the ability to create a single or series of emails that get sent based on triggers that you set. So for example, in that diagram that we have there, if you send one email out, one individual opens it, the other individual does not. The person that opens it, a week later, they get sent email 2. The individual that did not open it, they automatically get sent a follow-up email. And you can kind of build a filter, a system that automatically responds based upon the buttons or actions taken with that email and how you want to interact with those individuals. So if it's a great tool to build that sales funnel again out and just explore how people are interacting with your emails and what works best for you. So the other thing we always get asked a lot is, okay, so now you have a good overview of what are some of the key structures in Mailchimp, how to really kind of get started, what it means when you go onto that dashboard, when you open up Mailchimp. But the key area is the actual content that you're going to create. That's always the tricky part, even for ourselves, is what am I going to write about, right? And that is great with the scheduled delivery. So here are 6 content ideas that we've used in the past as well for current customers, and that are sales, promotions, new products, open house, and webinar, which is exactly what we're doing here today. Free tips and how-tos. So those are just 6 topics to just think about you can use to start writing your emails, and they don't have to be long. As long as they, have one strong focus in them and a good call to action, telling somebody what to do. It's a great way to start, and especially the bottom 2, free tips and how-tos. It's a great way to build, like Peter mentioned earlier, to build value. And even if people don't always open your emails or they're not ready to buy from you now, it's a great way to set your business as an industry expert in that field if you just keep giving them information and value. So when they are ready to buy, let's say 3 months or 6 months down the road, your brand is top of mind, and it's more than likely, no guarantee of course, but that they will reach out to you for that specific product or service because you've given them so much information, so much value that the first thing they're going to think of when they need that specific product or service is you. So those are some of the key areas I wanted to touch base on and talk to you about today.